What's in a name? That which we call a rose by any other name would smell as sweet. William Shakespeare, Romeo and Juliet. On the one hand, Shakespeare's right. A name might only be an outer layer, a label that doesn't touch the true essence of a thing. But on the other hand, what if there is a name that captures our deepest, most authentic self? Today, we're diving into the mystery of names, from gods and demons to fairy tale tricksters, to modern-day fantasy and indigenous traditions, because stories all over the world seem to agree upon one thing. To know a name is to hold power. We carry so many names. We have our given names, our family names, surnames, titles, doctor, professor, coach, mom, dad, and even nicknames, or as some old forms of English would put it, nicknames, literally meaning additions. All of these are like layers, outer garments we put on to move through the world, and they're useful. They help people recognize us, remember us, place us in a story. But if nicknames are additions, what happens when we start peeling away those layers? What happens when we move to what people call me and who I truly am? That's where things get more sacred and more mysterious. Stories from religion, myth, folklore, and literature all hint at this. Knowing a true name isn't just trivia. It's a gateway to power, identity, and even destiny. Let's start with one of the oldest ideas, the hidden name. In most traditions, to know someone's true name is to have power over them, or at least deep access to their essence. In the Hebrew Bible, when Moses encounters the divine in the burning bush, he asks for a name, and the answer he gets is, "I am who I am." It's less of a label and more of a statement of being. Later, the name of God becomes represented as 4 letters, YHWH, a name so sacred that traditionally it isn't spoken out loud. Instead, substitute names are used. Adonai, Hashem, the name. Here, the name is powerful, holy, and deliberately hidden. To speak it casually would be to treat the sacred as ordinary. To know it fully might be to step into a power that we're not meant to handle lightly. We find a similar motif in ancient Egypt. The sun god Ra has a hidden name. The goddess Isis wants that name, not out of curiosity, but for power. She does something clever and a little bit terrifying. She uses Ra's own drool, his essence, to create a magical snake. The snake bites Ra and poisons him. In agony, Ra starts reciting his many titles and roles. I am the creator, I am the king of gods, but Isis is not satisfied. She wants more than descriptions. She will not heal him until he reveals his true name. Only when Ra is on the brink of death does he finally reveal his inner, secret name. And when he does, Isis gains enormous authority and power. Again, we see this idea, a forward-facing name with roles, titles, and personas, and a hidden name, an inner name, one's essence. Now, let's jump to ancient Greece, the Odyssey. Odysseus faces entrapment and peril by the Cyclops Polyphemus, and at first, he does something very interesting. He hides his own name. He tells the Cyclops his name is Nobody. And when Odysseus blinds Polyphemus as a way to escape, the Cyclops cries out, and he can only say, "Nobody is hurting me." Odysseus protects his identity and refuses to give his true name. For a while, this saves him and his men. But then, as he sails away, his pride takes over. He shouts back, "If anyone asks who blinds you, tell them it was Odysseus." And in that moment, his name is spoken. Polyphemus can pass that name on to someone more powerful, his father Poseidon. The hubris of Odysseus ties his name to his fate. Whereas he wanted his name to be known among men, it is discovered by a god. In the legends of King Arthur, names are bound up with honor, allegiance, and destiny. When knights meet one another on the battlefield, they don't just clash swords. They ask, "Who are you? What is your name?" Knowing the opponent's name tells you what kind of battle this will be, what house or kingdom they represent, and what honor is at stake if you win or lose. Fairy tales take this even further. In stories like Rumpelstiltskin or the English variant Tom Tit Tot, We meet strange little beings from beyond the human world. They appear in moments of desperation, a young woman facing an impossible task, spinning straw into gold, or completing endless work. These creatures offer help, but at a price. The deal often sounds like this: I can help you, but if you can't guess my name, you must give me your firstborn child, or live with me forever. In essence, something becomes captive. The name becomes a contract. And how does a maiden escape this plight? The name is discovered, often in secret, in the dark woods, at the edge of a village, in the hidden beyond where no one is watching. In Rumpelstiltskin, the creature dances around the fire, bragging and singing his own name, never dreaming someone might overhear. When she finally speaks it, the spell breaks and the power shifts. We see this echoed in religious exorcism traditions. A priest insists on learning a demon's name before he's able to cast it out. By bringing the hidden name from the beyond past the threshold into our world, we gain authority and its power is lessened. So if names can be used against us or for us, what about our own inner names? We don't just have one label, we're stacked with them. Birth names, family names, titles at work, online usernames, cultural or religious identities as well. These are like outer cloaks, but many stories suggest that they also carry something deeper, a more essential name discovered along a journey. In The Lord of the Rings, Aragorn is a great example. He doesn't start out as King Aragorn of Gondor, marching with a crown. Instead, we meet him as Strider, Estil, or Elisar. Each name marks a different layer. Strider, the wandering rough-edged traveler, the outer mask. Estil, the hope placed in him, even if he doesn't fully realize it. Elisar, Aragorn, son of Arathorn, the rightful king. As Aragorn grows into this calling, his name shifts from disguise to destiny. We could list many characters like this: Daenerys Targaryen in the Game of Thrones, Stormborn, Khaleesi, Mother of Dragons, Breaker of Chains, each name a stage of her becoming. Black Panther, T'Challa, he is king, son, warrior, protector, every name tied into a role, but also to an inner sense of who he must be. There's another side to all of this, names that are not spoken, not out of reverence, but out of fear. In Harry Potter, Voldemort is so feared that most witches and wizards refuse to say his name. They call him he who must not be named. His name becomes a taboo. Speaking it feels like inviting his presence. Dumbledore challenges his fear. At one point, he tells Harry, "Call him Voldemort, Harry. Always use the proper name for things. Fear of a name increases fear of the thing itself." So we see a tension. Not naming something can keep it distant, but refusing to name it can also strengthen our fear. There are many stories where you say someone's name, you bring them into existence. Beetlejuice is a great example. In the movie by the name Beetlejuice, if you summon this chaotic spirit by saying the name 3 times, it brings about the chaotic trickster into our world. We even find this with children. Some kids play the Bloody Mary game, stand in front of a mirror, lights low, say the name over and over, and wait for something terrifying to appear. These stories are playful, but they tap into an ancient intuition. To speak a name is to summon. And that's exactly where we're careful. If you say it, you invite it. Let's talk about another side of this, how names can bind us and how names can liberate us. A name can function like a signature, a binding mark. In the legend of Faust, he makes a pact with the devil, often sealing his fate by signing his name in blood. His name is now tied to a contract of his soul. Throughout history, enslaved people were given slave names, names imposed by their owners, used to strip away their original identities, languages, their tribes, and their lineages. Taking away or changing a name can be an act of domination. On the other hand, changing or claiming a name can be an act of freedom. We find many examples of this. Formerly enslaved people choosing their authentic name once again, or bringing about a new surname after emancipation. Immigrants reclaiming the original spelling or pronunciation of their names. We find people choosing a name as a reflection of identity and orientation. And we find people taking on religious or spiritual names as a symbol of transformation. We come into this world with a given name, but through our journey, we discover or claim a name that speaks to our essence. We must decide, do we hide our names like the tricksters, or do we proclaim it for all to hear without giving up our authority of self? Names can bind us like a contract or a curse, break us when they're used to control us, bless us when they affirm our deepest identity. And sometimes the journey of a lifetime is simply this: to peel back the outer layers, to face the fears that stop us from naming things, to learn gently and courageously what our most authentic name really is. We started with Shakespeare. That which we call a rose by any other name would smell as sweet. And maybe Shakespeare was right in a way. The essence of who we are doesn't disappear just because someone mispronounces your name or calls you by the wrong label at work. But stories from around the world push us to ask a deeper question. Among all the names you carry, your birth name, your username, your title, your nicknames, which ones feel like layers and which ones feel like home? If you feel comfortable, share in the comments the story behind your name, a name that you reclaimed or chosen for yourself, its origins, or a fictional character whose journey with names really resonates with you. If you enjoyed exploring this theme of names, myth, and identity, hit like, subscribe, and share this with someone who is discovering the power and the mystery of their name. Thanks for watching and being here. As always, stay curious and treasure the fleeting moments.